Okay, here I go. I'm going to respond to the next one. I already had the setup because I just finished Money, Sex, and God with Ken Blackman. So here I go talking about sex and Donald Trump. Thank you, Aaron, for giving me the in to talk about something political, which I've never done. And I can feel like heat in my body and also excitement. Like there's a juiciness here that I'm really excited about. I'm going to try to be short and sweet because I want to do a bunch of these little mini lives. In case you don't know what I'm talking about, I did a post earlier today asking you to give me something that you don't think has to do with sex. And you guys gave me your answers, and here I am responding to show you that everything is actually sex, and sex is everything. Okay, so Donald Trump. First of all, if anyone knows him or knows how I could get in touch with him, I would love to have a session with him. I'd love to get him in my office and work with him. Because here's the thing about Donald Trump. He is sex because he's alive, right? You are sex because you're alive. Sex is being alive. Sex is life. And Donald Trump is the perfect amalgamation of the conditioning of our sexuality in America, right? He is how we're taught sex. He is how women are taught sexuality. He is how men are taught sexuality when we're not making conscious choices otherwise. It's why I have a job, right? It's why I have this career to help decondition all of that. Which is why I want to work with him. So if you have the ability, please connect me to him. Actually, I could work with all the politicians. That would be fabulous. So I don't know much about politics. I don't follow them. I don't put my energy places where it doesn't need to go and doesn't want to go. And I have seen clips of him, like little clips, right, on YouTube or whatever. Someone will post something on Facebook. And I want to just do a trigger warning. And you know what? I should have posted it in the description. So I'm going to write it here. But I'm going to talk about rape. So if anyone has had that experience and it is a trigger for them, please do not continue watching. Okay? I trust you guys to take care of your bodies and what you need for your bodies. So here's what happened when I went and looked at a video of Donald Trump. Now, the way that I look at sexual energy, and I've been able to see this since I was a little girl, is I can see it in the body. I can see the flow in the body. And if I look at Trump's energy, he's got a ton of energy here and a ton of energy here and some distorted energy around the solar plexus and the sexual chakra as well, right? It's a lot though. There's a lot of energy there. Very little energy in the first chakra, but it's holding. It's like this held feeling. So it's not a heaviness, it's more like a gripping down at the base of his body. And this, I would say that this is uncommon, but frankly, it's not. A lot of people, women and men, have this energy pattern, right? Where I can feel it in my body as I'm talking about it, crazy, where there's like all this stagnant energy in the throat, right? Tons of energy here, no energy here, right? And so what's happening is they're walking around, their bodies are actually hurting them. The energy is not flowing through their body, so they're in pain. And because they're in pain, their mind naturally goes, okay, let me disembody myself. Let me disconnect myself from my body. Let me get out of my body. It's also very easy for this energy type because they're in their head so much that they could just be there, right? And not have to be inside the body, especially because this energy type has a gripping down into the earth. It's like trying to hold on to something and attach to something. And that's painful. And so we don't want to look at it, right? Because we want to avoid the pain. It's a very fear-based energy pattern. And I've seen it a lot. And specifically, here's where the trigger warning is coming up. When I got clarity around my own sexual awakening and I got clarity around my own life, I I went through my experiences of violation and rape, which I believe Trump was accused of. Here's me not paying any attention to anything, but I believe, right? If not, then I'm sure it's happened with his energy patterning. So I look to my experiences, and I can literally see the men in front of me, and I can see how their energy pattern is exactly the same. Tons of frantic energy here, tons of frantic energy here, closed off heart, tons of frantic energy here, right? I've seen that. And it manifests, unfortunately, as very penetrative energy without any sort of protection. I've talked about this before, which is, I mean, I guess you could call it the unhealthy masculine. I don't really believe in healthy or unhealthy, toxic, all that stuff doesn't really work for me. It's more just a masculine that's not fully stepped into. Like, it's only one side of his masculinity, and there's this other side that is the protector, right? And we haven't quite, with this energy type that Donald Trump embodies, we haven't quite embodied that energy. And so, okay, how does this have to do with sex, right? This has to do with sex because Donald Trump is having sex, right? Like, he is having sex. He is sex because he's alive. And he's the absolute epitome of our sexual culture. We've created him from how we're relating sexually. And so really, if anything, I look at Donald Trump and I see very clearly this is sex. And now, is it where this sex can be so much greater and so much more? There are edges in Trump's energy field, as well as in a lot of people, like everyone in New York City's energy field. There are edges that have not yet been explored, right? I would love to lean into seeing Trump's sexual conditioning and seeing, you know, the trauma that he's been through, and the fears, right? Because that energy body that I was explaining earlier is fear-based. Sex releases fear. It lets it fall away, right? And so when we have that erotic flow of energy that he's not yet embodied into, though he has it inside of him, just as everyone does, it's just a lack of embodiment. Once we have that, then the fear will release. He doesn't have to grip on so tightly to, like, it's really just the manifestation current gripping onto that, like doing. He can start to relax and release into his own spirit and his own being. So how is he sex? He's sex because it's all perfect. Like he's a brilliant example of what is currently happening in the planet, the penetrative without protection energy. And right, he's a great marker for us to look at where, as a universe, right, since we're all one, where can we start to shift? And for me, you know, I'm only half kidding about getting him into my office, though I really do want to sit down with him for an hour and work on his energy body. That would be lovely. What I know is that the more that my erotic energy is moving and flowing through my body, right, the more orgasmic potential that my body has, that creates a ripple effect, right? And I actually start to shift the paradigms of everyone. So the more that you wake yourself up, right, to love and light and the sex that's within you and the divine erotic intelligence that's in you, the more that we can start to rub off on other people, and we can see that happen. Okay, so I don't really know how, I'm not much of a thinker. I just kind of channel stuff. So thank you, Aaron, though, for that. He is definitely still sex. Donald Trump is not sex. And so here's my response to that. And I'd love to hear your responses to that and see what came up for you in this conversation. Also, before we end, just looking at his wife, right, and seeing how the conditioning is there as well. It's very clear, right? And it's simply just societal conditioning onto these two beings, right, of how we work with sexuality in our society. They're a perfect example of where we can bring more light and where we can really dig in deeper, and bring consciousness and awareness to sex. So thank you for this question. I will be on at some point and do a quick mini Facebook Live about whatever someone said next. I can't remember. But if you have other things you want to challenge me and give me stuff to play with on what you don't think is actually about sex, like what you think is not sex, you can comment on the post, and then I'll come on live and chat about it. So thank you so much, and have an amazing rest of your day, guys. Ciao.